Hey, Andrew from Orbital here. I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks today on how to choose the right sander for the job you're doing. Let's go through the types of sanders and let's give them a name, and maybe that'll help you decide. This machine here is called an orbital sander. The base here will be all sorts of different shapes and sizes, but if it's called an orbital sander, it does the same sort of action. This pad will do an orbital action, like little circles. So each grain of sand on that sandpaper is going to do little circles. It's not really designed to remove a lot of material. It's more for a finishing sand. It's kind of like the machine that you'd use to just take a little bit of stuff off or to finish off the job that you're doing. Common applications for that, when you get it in a bigger pad, it's for nice large surfaces, but again, only for a little bit of material removal. Or when it comes to a shape like this with little tips and corners, etc., it's really good for getting into those tight places, maybe renovating some furniture or a bookcase or maybe a staircase. Let's move into this one. This one's a random orbital. So if we imagine that one, each grain of sand does a little circle. This one also does that, but as you probably saw when I picked it up, it can also spin. And the random word means it's spinning off center, as you can probably quite easily see there. Each one of those little grains of sand will be doing like a spiral effect as it's removing the material. It really means that this has the ability to do a bit of both. So based on the sandpaper you put on it, it can be a finishing sander, so it can do that fine finish at the end, but also based on the paper you put on it, it can do a larger removal of material. As it's spinning, you can see it's spinning off center, but it is actually also, when I put it to the material, you'll notice that this disc doesn't spin too fast. It's not designed to spin flat out like you just saw it there. It's more designed to spin a little bit, so it's creating that spiral effect. And already you can see how much quicker that is at removing the material off the top of the surface there. Then we move on to this machine here. It's called a belt sander. Kind of is easy to see why. It's got this sandpaper here, which is like a big belt that runs around there. The reason we have a belt sander, and if you look at the base there, it's quite large. This is mainly for large flat surfaces and large amounts of removal of material. So if you need to take back a lot, so you're sanding down floorboards in a house or something that's got a lot of paint on it, or it's got a lot of timber you need to remove, lots of imperfections I suppose you need to get out of it, and it's a flat surface, the belt sander will do that and do it quite rapidly. It has what's called a lock-on switch, so it could be locked on. If I was to plug this in while it was locked on, this belt sander would run away from you. This one here, you really need it on the nice flat surface, and your mission is to stop this getting away from you, because this machine is going to have a belt that's spinning that way, and the machine is going to want to drive that way. So when you turn it on, you want to be ready for the movement to go that way, and to apply all of that torque to the material, you're just going to stop it from getting away from you, and you don't want to put too much downward pressure on it. But you'll see, as I do a piece through here, how quick this will remove the material. So as I apply this, so you can see back here is where I roughly did it with the orbital sander. Here's where I did it with the random orbital. In a split second, this removed heaps of material. If you were able to run your hand across there, you would feel that there's actually a real detectable edge there. Then I'm going to call this one more of a specialty sander. There's a bunch of these different ones. They might be a sanding head that goes on a multi-tool, for example. This one here uses a rotating action, and that's all it does. But the beauty of this one is it has a bendable disc on the bottom, a rubber disc to help you get through some of those curves. This particular machine is a sander polisher, so it has the ability to do some polishing as well. But in the sanding mode, probably most commonly be used for the old weatherboards that might be curved that way, or they might be scalloped in a bit that way, and then you can get right deep into the material. So it does have a variable speed option on as well. So you saw as I rolled that dial up and back that it's got a variable speed. Now that's important, because if you can slow it down, sometimes it's a bit safer, sometimes it's better for the material you're trying to remove. So I'm going to start at about mid-range, and then I'm going to sand off the end here. Right, so I would call that a bit of a specialty sander, because it's not really designed for a flat surface. It's more designed for something that's already got a curve that you can follow. I run my hand across there. The most aggressive one out of all 4 was this one here. Remove more material in a shorter period of time. All in all, out of these 4 types of sanders, you're guaranteed to find the right sander for the job that you need to do around the home. So you too can do it with a Zito. So make sure you jump back into the website and look us up, and we'll give you some more helpful hints and tips for around the home.